Rachel Herrick is a puppeteer and voice actor whose credits include Crank Yankers and Little Mermaid Live. In part 1 of our interview, we talk about voiceover, puppetry, and what it's like to perform in front of millions of people on live television. Some of you guys may know Rachel's been working with us for how many years now? Quite a few.
Well, I know for a fact I started working with you technically in 2013. That's when I started doing the first summer shows with you guys. So I guess that's 8 years now.
Wow. Crazy.
And now I've been like working, more directly with you guys on production for almost 2 years now. But yeah, for the longest time, it was mostly just doing live shows and working on just whatever I could to help out with you guys on any project and that sort of thing. But now it's been like an official full-time thing for about 2 years.
Yeah, during the Crank Yankers build, so in 2019 we built Crank Yankers. That's when we brought Rachel on to help with more of the production work. And we're in the shop, but she's at her home, so we're still trying to keep that safety bubble going on there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So why don't you tell some of the folks, people maybe know you from, I know you just launched a brand new website. Why don't you tell people what that is and what kind of thing?
Oh, sure. I'm a puppeteer. I also do voice acting, and I was running a YouTube channel for the longest time, which still might do in the future. Just haven't been active on that for a while. But really, you guys actually were the ones who got me to become. You were the first ones to really get me to be a paid puppeteer, because I didn't know what to do as far as puppeteering or like where to look into it. But then I had met you guys, and you contacted me later and said, "Hey, we're looking for someone to help out with summer shows. Would you be available?" And I was like, I get to get paid to puppeteer? Yes! But that's where it all started, and I feel like we've just, I've done so many live shows for you guys since then, not so much now, obviously, because of the pandemic, but, since then, it just kind of, like, grew from there. Like, I started meeting people, through you guys, through other puppet people, like, people became more aware of who I was. And from there, that kind of led me to, focusing more on doing character development and focusing on doing voiceover and I'm trying to break into doing animation and cartoons and that sort of thing.
Yeah, actually, I want to ask you about your voiceover work because I sort of feel like I saw the start of it as you were puppeteering, and then I saw that you got like a better microphone, and then you got like a better in-home setup, and then you started like booking voiceover stuff. So maybe you can tell us and the people that are watching a little bit about that kind of the skills that go hand in hand with voiceover and puppetry and all of that.
For sure. I think that, Frank Oz said it very poignantly, and I think it's so true with voiceover, which is, people are always saying like, ooh, do your voices. And it's like, we don't do voices, we do characters. And I really realized early on that it was the same thing with voiceover. A lot of people think like, oh, you just do funny voices all the time. And it's just like, no, actually, first and foremost, when you're voice acting, and same with puppeteering, you're an actor. I think you guys can agree with that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's all about, first of all, you're an actor, and then it's about developing characters from there. And it's interesting because voiceover has changed so much, even just like the last 10 years. For the longest time, it was very character-y, and that still exists, but now it's the trends tend to be more like they want more conversation, even in animation. Even like with the really goofy stuff, it still tends to be very conversational, so you have to be very up with the trends. And voiceover is obviously much huger industry than puppetry is, because, we're all in our little way, like, connected in the puppetry community. Like, if we're in the professional, like, industry, like, we all know each other pretty much. Voiceover, it's not so much the same. And there's so many people trying to break in, and people are doing it all over the place too. Like, luckily with the pandemic, a lot of people had working studios already from their homes, but now the people who are really working now are the people who have those professional setups at home.
Have you been able to stay pretty busy doing that kind of stuff, auditioning and things?
Yeah, I have. My agent's been awesome, sending me some good stuff. I also am still looking for other things on my own. This whole experience really forced me to like up my game on my my at-home studio, because for the longest time I was just working on a Blue Yeti, which is a pretty okay mic, but it was mostly just like for auditions. It didn't matter if there was like a little sound going on in the room. But it's like now I had to like actually like find a way to find a space in my apartment that was quiet enough where I wouldn't be distracted by any outside sounds. The mic wouldn't pick it up, and I had to like get new microphones. So I literally changed part of my closet into a little studio, one that I can stand up in. It's completely covered in foam.
So we're, talking about voiceover, but I want to, maybe you can share a little bit with your puppetry experience. You talked about the live shows that you did with us for, going on 8 years. And who knows if things start opening up, maybe
you
we'll
never know.
back at the LA Zoo.
I'm always down for more practice. That's what I love so much about what I did with you guys was, I was doing a lot of the same thing, but allowed so much practice time every day.
Yeah.
So anyway.
And then what about some of your on-camera puppetry works? I know in recent years you've been able to do more on-camera puppetry work. So why don't you tell the folks about some of that stuff?
Yeah. Well, the two big ones actually were Crank Yankers and Little Mermaid Live. Those were the huge ones that I did in 2019. And I feel like in some way I have to thank you guys for that, because you guys also built the puppets for those. But I know it wasn't just you guys saying like, oh, Rachel, she can just puppeteer. Like, no, I had to actually audition for Crank Yankers and did an awesome job. I know I did, because I ended up working on it. And as you guys did too, I know. And then, of course, Little Mermaid Live. Artie, who is our captain, is absolutely amazing and a good friend of mine, but I guess he just trusted my ability enough to be able to be on that. And, they were very different, because Crank Yankers, of course, was on set. If you make a mistake, you can just go ahead and tape it all over again, and of course, there's a lot of freedom in that. But Little Mermaid Live was, of course, like, I think like 7 or 8 weeks of rehearsal, and then it was just one live show. And like, that was it. And if you mess up, all well.
Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that experience of, being there. Where'd you guys shoot, at the Disney lot?
Yeah, it was at the Walt Disney lot in Burbank. Yeah, on a huge soundstage. Yeah.
So what's it like? What's it like for you? You're a performer and you're backstage waiting to go on, and that when those cameras hit, it's not just for the crew to take one, take two. It's going live to millions of people. Like, how does that feel?
Well, because we had so much rehearsal time, there is that like trust in yourself, like, oh, I've got this. I got the muscle memory. We've been doing this. Just do what we've been doing and we'll be fine. But then I think there's still that anticipation of like, oh my gosh, so many people are going to be watching this. And that's actually pretty amazing. And I think, even more so than just the random people at home, it's like, oh, my family's going to see this. My friends are going to see this, more people in the industry are going to see this. It's exciting though. I mean, I've done theater before, so I know all about like being on a stage and everything, just never on that magnitude before. But it was exciting. It was so much fun. And all the puppeteers that we worked with were great. The crew was awesome. It was so much fun.
Rachel, one thing that a lot of people always ask us, we get emails, as you know.
Yes, I'm the one who monitors those emails, and I reply to you.
Yeah, if you email Swazzle and you get a response back, you're talking to Rachel.
It's me.
But a lot of people ask us, how do I get started in puppetry or puppeteering? Everyone has a different story about how they got started. We have a different story. What would you say to someone if they wanted to get started in this art form?
I think I would say same thing with voiceover. First of all, if there's any way you can take a class, for sure on voiceover, yes. Puppetry, if there's classes out there, it's hard to find places where classes are offered. I was very lucky that I took classes with Michael Earle's Puppet School back in 2012 is when I first, I'm actually not 100% sure if they're as active anymore, but I think it's a good idea to seek out somewhere where you can learn for sure to get started, because there are workshops out there, even if it's just like 1 day workshops or 3 days or that sort of thing. Good idea to find somewhere where you can learn from other people, and then I think connecting with people in that community too. And you guys have also mentioned before, a good thing to do is join a guild. If there's one in your area, for sure do that, because that's a great way to go to events. I mean, nowadays it's more like Zoom meetings probably, but it's a great way to connect with people, even on Twitter or on Facebook. Just connect with people that are in your community. And then, of course, I've always told people, just observe. We have this great thing called YouTube now that has so many clips of, the Jim Henson crew doing their thing, of other people working with puppets. Just learn and observe and find like where your niche is. Like, obviously I was so attracted to Muppet puppetry and then fell in love with other puppetry after that too. But I think observing and finding workshops and then just connecting with the community is a great way to start, even if you like know nothing.
Our good friend Buster Balloon says, he has a question for you. Is it ever a burden being as awesomely amazing and talented as you?
Oh my gosh, you're
I mean,
so sweet.
it's hard for all of us, isn't it?
It
But
is.
someone, thank you, Buster. Someone did have a question, and it scrolled through, but they want to know, what's the favorite puppet that you have performed?
That, you know, it's interesting. I don't know if I've ever really truly thought of that question. I think like the kinds I love though are the ones where you get to work not just by yourself but with other people.
Sure.
You know, like for example, like, you know, Ernie or Cookie Monster, or like just those kind of puppets like that have the glove hands. One person usually is operating the mouth and a hand, and then you're doing another hand, or you're doing both hands depending on what the puppet needs to do. Like if it's Swedish Chef, sometimes that one person is using both hands and then one person's doing the mouth. I personally, I guess I can't think of a specific character along those lines, but I tend to work alone, you know, especially like when I've done your guys' shows, I tend to just perform with myself, which is fun too.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a challenge. And that definitely has gotten me to be a much stronger left-handed puppeteer because I'm right-handed. But I also love collaborating with people. And I love being in an environment where we get to like work off each other's energy.
When I got to perform the character of Maestro Fermata on Kidding, that was a lot of fun because it's the same thing where I was doing principal work, but I also had Sean and Artie assisting. So that was a thing where it was, you know, 3 people collaborating together to create one performance, which is a lot of fun. My favorite ones are the ones that really have a read on the character. So like our own little characters that we have, like people don't know these characters necessarily, but like Rex from Rex and Boots. Like if I can start to speak in the character's voice, then it makes it a lot more fun and easier to play that character. It kind of like what you were saying about voiceover, how it kind of it isn't just the voice, but it's like coming through the character.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to ask you a question about you know, training and when you started. Can you tell us a little bit about the Sesame workshops that you participated in? I know some people would be interested in hearing a little bit about that.
Sure. I can tell you from what I remember, because it's been a millennia, but but I've done 2 Sesame Street workshops, and the first one I auditioned in 2013, got accepted and participated in 2014. It was 2 days, I think, 2 or 3 days, and then there was one I also did in 2016, and it was basically like puppetry intensive. I feel like looking back on it, and it was. I almost treated it myself like an audition because I knew that this was not exactly like a place where they were like looking to hire people. You know, I think they were more like looking for like what's out there. You know, I think that that's kind of how they were treating it. But at the same time, they were also still teaching us. And I think that they wanted to see how we worked off each other. And I think that as a newbie at the time, that was really great for me because I hadn't really worked off a lot of people. And that was one of the first instances actually where I got to, you know, get a lot of critique from people in the higher ups in that world, but then also, like I said, got to like, we had like little sketches that we would work on. And that was one of the first times I actually really got to do that. And I don't think I really realized it until that time either. But you know, that we did, you know, the simple things like we worked on lip sync. We did things also that I didn't expect. Like we would literally just for 5 minutes, just move our hand in like a certain routine until we got tired. And I think that was more about like coordination more than anything.
And how about the people in the workshop? Are you still friends with them online? And because I don't know.
Yeah,
it seems like one of the benefits of a workshop like that is not just the lessons you learn, but the people you meet.
Yeah, it was a great way to get to know more people in the industry that I didn't really know anybody in. I've collaborated with a few of them. I talk with a lot of them online. I also, it's interesting because I see Matt Vogel sometimes watching my Instagram story, so I know he's watching me still, which is an honor. Right. I don't know the reason behind that. You know, who knows? Maybe one day it would be amazing to do some work on Sesame Street. But yeah, a lot of those people that were on there, I got to know them a whole lot better, and now a lot of them are my really good friends.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Someone asked a question about performing right-handed and left-handed. Is there one that's easier or more difficult?
I mean, yes. For me, I'm personally right-handed, and puppeteering right-handed is so much easier. However, through doing shows with you guys and performing one-person shows for so many years, I have become pretty dexterous in being able to perform with my left hand as well. And it is certainly still a little bit of a challenge whenever I do it, but I definitely have a lot of confidence in my ability to be able to do it. I did puppeteer on a show a few weeks ago. I can't tell you what it is yet. I mean, you guys know what it is, but the public can't know. But I literally was in a position where I had to perform a puppet, and it had to be on my left hand. Otherwise, like, my whole body would have been screwed up. So that's what we did, and it came out awesome. And
Right.
like I said, yeah, if you want to have that ability, it's hard, but I think just practice performing with both of them. It's come in handy a lot of times for me. When I was on Little Mermaid Live during the Under the Sea, like literally the hole and where the puppet was going to be, I had to perform left-handed, and it was a challenge, but I was able to do it.
Thank you for joining us for the Swazzle Lunch Break. Join us next time for part 2 of our interview with Rachel Herrick.